Uh, Good morning to everyone. Today we will be discussing new legislation I introduced this week to help raise awareness about concussions for student athletes and to improve students' well-being both on the field and in the classroom. Concussions have always been part of the conversation about student athletes, but for far too long we've talked about what has happened without taking any action to help the students manage those dangerous injuries. When a student suffers a concussion, it's not just their athletic future that is at stake. Without proper management, their performance in the classroom is also in jeopardy. The student athlete needs to be much more about the student as the athlete. We simply can't talk about student athletes without really thinking about what brain injuries really mean for a student's future. In a concussion management arena, there is a saying, when in doubt, send it out. Unlike a broken leg or a bruise, concussions are not easily identified, but they're equally, if not more, dangerous. 90% of the concussions occur without a loss of consciousness, and many students simply do not know if they are injured. A prolonged diagnosis, when the pressure to play surpasses the need for treatment, can mean dangerous and harmful results to students. In the past 4 years, there were nearly 400,000 reported concussions in high school athletes, and experts believe the prevalence of sports-related concussions is much higher than reported. It is now commonly reported that 300,000 sports-related concussions occur annually. And once you factor in the recreation-related concussions, like those occurring on the playground, the number rises dramatically. We need to empower students to know when they may be at risk. Students deserve to know the signs and the symptoms and the risk of concussions so they'll be able to take appropriate next steps to prevent further injury and to prevent their successes in school from suffering. Student athletes with information about the symptoms of concussion are more likely to treat and manage their injuries. Many states have already taken action, but there is little regulation on the whole to ensure that the students in every state will have the same minimum protection. High school athletes are at greater risk of sports-related concussions than college or professional athletes because their younger brains are more susceptible to injury, and female youth athletes are even more likely to suffer concussions. The Protecting Student Athletes from Concussions Act will help improve concussion safety and management for student athletes by requiring school districts to develop and implement a standard, community-based plan for concussions and safety and management. It will require school districts to take 4 minimum steps. These will set a floor in the terms of what school districts will have to do. I'm confident that many states will far exceed these minimum expectations. First, similar to a plan in the NFL has implemented for the players, schools must post information about how to prevent and manage concussions for students to see. The information will be publicly visible on a school's website. Second, when a student who is suspected of sustaining the concussion during the school-sponsored athletic activity, he or she must be removed from the game, prohibited from returning to play that day, and evaluated by healthcare professionals, and parents must also be notified. And third, schools must provide support for students recovering from concussions and access to special education services for students who are not recovering. This is common sense legislation to protect our students. We may not fully understand the complexities of concussions, but we do know enough to improve the outcomes of student athletes now. Recent news reports about the prevalence and dangers of concussions have made it very clear that we will need to help prevent what we need to do to help prevent the injuries at all levels. The National Football League has already taken an important step to protect their athletes from the risk of concussions. At the very least, our schools should do the same. And I'd just like to interject here that it's not just about their athletes. One of the things we'll hear about this morning is really a program that the National Football League has entered into on behalf of all athletes, certainly playing the sport of football, but the impact is across all youth athletics, and also their work with the Center on Disease Control on working up educational, informational, public information programs on this issue. I think it's a very, very important partnership, both on behalf of this legislation and on behalf of working with states and school districts and parents about this danger. Let me go back and just say that athletics play an important role for student development. Team sports teach students about leadership, about teamwork, about commitment, and unfortunately the injuries are part of any team sport, and energy management should be a key component. But we have to do better for our students when they are hurt and need our most support. I hope my colleagues will join me in supporting this legislation. The bill is supported by leading groups representing teachers and parents, school administrators, the disability community, sports medicine, community medical organizations, and athletic organizations. I look forward to hearing from our witnesses about why it is so urgent that we help protect our students from the risk of concussions and keep them informed and safe.